Today's a pretty cool day. I started my YouTube channel late 2018. Thank you all for subscribing, seeing the growth. We passed kind of this threshold today. So let's talk about that. So I started this channel wanting to provide tech reviews, gear reviews, tips, tutorials, ideas, really just create a collaborative environment. So up until this point, everything you've really seen on this channel, except for maybe 2 or 3 videos, mic reviews, headphone reviews, I've funded entirely out of my own pocket. I can only sustain that for so long. However, I think I've finally reached the pivot point where I've been having a lot of interest, but I've had a few really cool ones reach out recently that wanted me to review some of their stuff. So today what we're doing is headed to the UPS store. I opened a secure mailbox so that way I had a place that I could have this stuff shipped to. What we're doing is we're gonna go get the first package here today that I am super excited to review. Let's go find out what it is. Hey, how's it going? I bought a package.
You have a package?
Yeah, last name was put Lee's PG.
All right, let me check out your ID. Yeah.
Hey, thank you.
You got it, take care.
All right, so we got our package, but we gotta go get some adhesive spray real quick. So we're gonna go do that and then we'll head back. All right, let's get this sucker unboxed. So what we got today are some ND filters for the Osmo Action, professional filter for the Pocket, as well as a day pack for the Pocket. Let's go find out how good these are. Man, it has just been cloudy since we got these ND filters. So I'm gonna head to a fountain nearby. If it gets sunny, we'll head down towards the ocean, see how the polarizing filters do as well. But we gotta get these ND filters tested. I can't wait for the sun. Let's get out there. All right, so we just got down to Santa Monica City Hall. What we got here is a little fountain, and there's actually some cool stuff, lily pads, things going on under the water. So we're gonna see how well the polarization filters do here. The sun has come out a bit too, so what we're gonna do after this is head over to the next park. That park actually has some moving water fountains, so we're gonna try out the ND filters, see if we can do some long exposure in the daytime. So we should have a good opportunity here to try out both the polarization filters as well as ND filters. With that, let's get to it. All right, so right now we're in 4K 60 on both of these guys. And you can see we've got no ND filters on here. Got some nice seagulls here yelling at me too. Let's go ahead and just kind of pan around here. See how much of a reflection there is. All right, let's swap on the polarization filters then and see how that does at cutting out the glare from this fountain. All right, so we're gonna test these out one by one, but what I wanna show you is as we rotate the filter, just how much glare we can really eliminate. So right now we've got the filter rotated so it's not reducing much at all, and then as we go around, boom, you can actually see how much that really did just cut down on the reflection here. So I think you can actually see through the water a bit. And you'll notice the detail of the fountain here as well. So we can really see that on the Osmo Action. And then again, this is just rotating the filter around so it's gonna not take care of the glare. So polarization definitely looks good on the Action filters. Let's go ahead and test out the Pocket filters with the same type of scenario. All right, so now we're on the Pocket and we've got similar scenario. So we threw the ND filter on, and then let me go ahead and rotate it so you can actually see again how much that's really gonna cut out the glare. So these polarization filters really do a good job cutting out glare. It's gonna make things just look a lot smoother. Whether you're filming cars, whether you're filming water. We're using the ND8 filter on the Pocket right now, just for reference in the sunlight that we're in right now. 4K 60. All All right, so the polarization filters seem to work really good. One thing I want to call out I really like about these filters is the fact that you don't have to take them on and off to balance the gimbal. So right now you can see we just turned it on, it's all balanced. I can take them off, boom, still balanced. So no issues there. Stick them right back on and it's still, again, let me level it out here, it's still balanced. So not an issue. I've seen some filters where it actually messes with the gimbal. You can turn this on and off with these attached. You can attach them on the fly, take them off on the fly, and I've seen no real issues with that. So thumbs up to Freewell for doing that. I'm guessing they just did a good job with the weight of these. So with that said, let's go try out the ND filters and get some long exposures. See you guys over there. All right, so right here we got our first fountain with actual moving water. We've got another one. So down the way here then we've got another fountain which actually shoots water out of the ground. So we're gonna start here, let's have some fun. So it looks like with the pocket here we've got anywhere from an ND16 up to 64. On the action then, I think we've got up to, all right, so we got ND16, we'll start with that on the action. That's gonna be the darkest we can go. Going into photo mode. And then from here, we're gonna adjust our settings to manual. Trying to judge, so we're gonna keep it on ISO 100. Shutter speed, right now it's at 1/100th. Looks about 1/8 is about as low as we can go while still exposing correctly. Take a few photos there and then we're gonna actually stop it down here. Right now we're at 1/4 of a second. ISO 100, ND16. Yeah, that's not gonna be usable. One thing I'm noticing is it's interesting. It doesn't look like rock steady actually applies to photos, which kind of makes sense maybe, but you'd think they'd apply some stabilization if you were doing long exposures. So right now this is our 1/8 exposure. I think that's about the best we're gonna do. We'll show you on the full screen in our studio as well, but ultimately this is gonna give us some movement, but not really the smoothness that you want, especially in the daytime. Because that was ND16 and I could only go to 1/8 of a second, I'm not even gonna bother trying any of the lower ones for an example. It's really just gonna help smooth out your frame rate when you're shooting video. Remember, these are the NDPL, so we got polarization going on. So the nice thing with this mechanical gimbal, so this should actually help us with photos as we're shooting. Gonna go into pro mode, exposure. All right, so 1/5 with ND64, according to the camera, is actually perfect. So we're gonna take a few with that, and then we're gonna go ahead and keep stopping it up. So here's 1/4, half a second. Still looks usable. I think this is right on the verge. This says we're overexposed by 1.3 stops. All right, so now we got our little ND1000 monster. Let's go ahead and throw that guy on. Right now we're at 1 second and it's not exposed at all. It's actually very dark. So 2 seconds is gonna hit, according to the camera, perfect exposure. I mean, we can go all the way to 8 seconds, it looks like here, so let's see how that does. It's a usable photo. I think it's gonna be a little blurry, but let's see how that does. We went all the way down to 8 seconds. It seemed to actually take a decent photo, so we'll see in the studio how it actually looks. At this point, let's go down to the next fountain. I promised you guys running water, didn't I? All right, so we're gonna start off with the ND16. So we're under the sun now, there's no shade, and I gotta say, even at 50, 1/50th of a second, it's looking overexposed. Seems about 80 to 100. 100 seems to be the sweet spot here. So we're definitely not getting that buttery smooth water. With that said though, we've got our ND1000. We'll do some different here. We'll start with 1 second. The 1 second's looking good. So we're smoothing everything out. It's looking a lot better. We're gonna go to 2 seconds. Generally 2 seconds is about the sweet spot, somewhere between 1 and 2 if you wanna smooth out water but not overdo it. And then we're gonna go to 3 seconds now. And 3 seconds on here looks like it's probably about the max we're gonna wanna go. Don't go beyond 3 seconds is what we learned. ND1000, definitely good for daytime long exposures though. All right, so we just got down to the beach. What we're gonna do is test out the video features on both right now. We're gonna see how they stack up against one another. We're gonna start with the ND8 filter on both cameras, and then we'll take them off and show you without any filters. You can see how they both do. One last reminder, the Pocket has the polarization, the Osmo Action does not. So just remember that as we're shooting. Let's get into it. All right, so we got the Osmo Action on the right here, Osmo Pocket on the left, both ND8 filters. Video looks pretty good right now. I'm curious how to see this compares without the ND filters, but go ahead and try out here. So I'm gonna walk down to the beach a little bit. get you some scenery. Taking a look here how the exposures do with various lightings. Is my face exposed properly? How's the HDR look? Is this gonna affect any of the dynamic range off the cameras? Right now, again, we still have the ND filters on. I think we got enough with it on. Let's go ahead and take them off, see how that does. I'll actually try to do this as a continuous shot. Just unscrew on the action. And on the Osmo, we just plop her off. So both set to auto exposure, so it should be good. So all right, just took the ND filters off. Any differences, any major differences in how the video looks? Is the frame rate different? Anything noticeable to you guys? So with that, let's actually get back to the studio now, and what we're gonna talk about is overall build quality. We're gonna compare them to Polar Pro filters, and then just really wrap up with what we think of these filters. Are they worth it? Should you guys get them? Let's go find out. All right, so let's talk a bit about build quality. All of these actually came in a little bit different cases. I'd say they're all pretty nice. The Osmo Action cases are definitely a little bit better. So we've either got this hard metal case and then with this foam padding inside, or these are actually magnetic cases, which are pretty similar to one of their competitors, which is Polar Pro. So all I have from Polar Pro are the DJI Mavic drone filters, but these are essentially a soft case. I'd say packaging wise, yeah, these cases from Polar Pro are maybe a little bit better. But when you actually look at the filters themselves, they're very similar here. So we've got a Polarization ND filter from Polar Pro, definitely good build quality, nice and metal. And same thing though, when you look at the Freewell filters, they're definitely machined metal, they're very well built. On top of that, I really like the aesthetics of these. So you notice the metal ring kind of around here in red, definitely gives it a little pop, a little flair. Overall, I'd say the build quality out of these is great. The cases maybe leave a little bit to be desired compared to the Polar Pros, but at the end of the day, as long as they're protecting the lenses and they function well, what do you really care about the case itself? So overall, Freewell Gear has done a great job with these filters. This was not a sponsored video. They did send me these filters as you saw in the beginning of this. However, I would spend my own money on these as much as I need them. That being said, I think for me, I don't necessarily need all the variations, ND4, ND16, ND32, 64, but what I would do is focus on specifically what do I want to do. If it's shooting bright daylight, I may go with something like an ND16 or 32. If it's doing long exposures during the daytime, definitely that ND1000 comes into play. And then at the end of the day, I really like polarization filters. Being in California, being near the beach, there's a lot of times where the sun's bright, there's a lot of glare going on, and we proved that the polarization filters work really well on these. So overall, it comes down to really what your needs are out of the filters, figure out what they are, and then go ahead and make sure you pick the right ones. So as always, thanks for joining me, guys. I'll explain in a future video what that adhesive spray was for. It actually is something that I'm still waiting on additional pieces to get shipped here to build. So show you guys what that is. Subscribe for more videos. Let me know in the comments section if you had any questions on these filters or anything you want to see in the future, and I'll see you guys next time.